Hey guys, it's Lear. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am filming my all-time most requested video. I get asked every single day, whether it's through Instagram DMs or comments on my YouTube videos. Every single day I get asked to film a video on how I edit my YouTube thumbnails, so I am finally delivering it to you guys. My hope is to give you guys lots of good tips, lots of good apps and inspiration to make your thumbnails so that your channel can be poppin'. I highly recommend not trying to copy my thumbnails because you just don't want to do that. Just be creative. You can use these methods and stuff, but don't try to literally copy my thumbnails. But definitely feel free to draw inspiration from this video and my channel. So without further ado, don't know why I did that, we'll never do it again. Let's dive into how I edit my thumbnails. Oh, and if you're interested in my shirt or my scrunchie, they're both linked in my description, so you can check that out if you want to. Now, let's get into the thumbnails. So the first step in making my thumbnails is obviously super obvious. You have to take the thumbnail pictures. So I have three different ways or three different things I will do. The first one's super basic. I will just use my camera and actually snap a picture of whatever I'm doing, like I did for this video. And it's pretty self-explanatory. I will just stand in front of the camera, push the button, take a picture. That is the first way, super basic and obvious. The second thing that I will do, which usually occurs more in vlogs, say in a vlog I was out at Starbucks and I took a picture of my drink, I would probably put that in my thumbnail. I think you can reference my summer day in my life video with my sister's birthday and everything. That's what that thumbnail was like. It was pictures from events that happened in the video that I took and put together into a thumbnail. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's another thing that I do. The last thing I will do is once I've imported all of my clips from the camera to my laptop to edit, I will scroll through, and if there's a part of the video that I like how it looks and I think it will look good in the thumbnail, I will screenshot it and then send it to my phone and continue the thumbnail process. That either happens when I'm too lazy to take a thumbnail picture and I just pose during the video, or if things in the video turned out better than a thumbnail picture that I actually took and I would rather use those, I just screenshot, airdrop it to my phone, and then I will get into the next step in my thumbnail process. Step number 2 is to edit the pictures for the thumbnail. So once I've chosen the pictures that are going to be in the thumbnail, whether it's just one picture or multiple to make a collage, I will edit the pictures in Lightroom. And one thing that helps so much with my Instagram and my YouTube is having presets or filters that I consistently use on every thumbnail, every picture. It gives my thumbnails a cohesive theme, I guess you could say. And the presets that I use, I also get asked this question all the time, but the presets that I use are Aspen Ovard's Lightroom mobile presets. So her very first pack that came out for mobile, I bought that one and I used that one for quite a while, and then she recently, I think it's her most recent pack, is the one that I'm using on my thumbnails and Instagram pictures right now. I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's like a summer pack. It's her most recent one for mobile. I literally love her presets. She has some of the best presets, trust me. I have bought so many presets and I always come back to Aspen, so I would highly recommend making that investment if you are really big into YouTube and Instagram and you really like the bright warm tone kind of vibe. I would definitely recommend Aspen Ovard's presets. That is what I use to edit the pictures and thumbnails for my videos. Alright, so now we're going to get into the editing process. So the app that I use to edit everything on is Lightroom. It's this app right in the middle. I've imported a few of the pictures that I would possibly use. So we're going to do this single picture right in the middle. As you can see here, it's just one big picture. I believe when I was taking this thumbnail, it was while I was filming a video. I just paused and like did a few poses. And then when I was editing, I screenshot it, sent it to my phone. So that's what this is. This thumbnail is for my finals week in my life, which may be up now. I had to re-upload it because lots of my videos were deleted by YouTube and this one I wasn't able to get back, so you should go check that one out. I really liked it and it was really long. It took so much hard work and time. Anyways, let's get back into the process. I will scroll at the bottom and click this little section called presets, And the Aspen Ovard preset that I use right now is the one that says AO number 3. Click that. As you can see, it looks really crazy, but that's okay. That's what editing is for. So the first thing I like to do is go into effects and turn down the grain because I just don't like that. And then I will bring up the noise reduction because that makes your skin look smoother and I just like how it looks. Then I will go into light and change the lighting because clearly it's overexposed right now. So usually bringing down the highlights helps out with that quite a lot. And then I like to bring up the whites because it gives my photos that really bright look. It makes the whites look really white. I really like that about my thumbnails and stuff. So I'll bring the highlights down and bring the whites up, and I think that looks pretty good. Now we're going to go into color, which is one of the best things about Lightroom is that you can adjust the colors separately and it won't change the whole photo. So I'm going to make my face a little bit darker by bringing down the luminance. I always like to brighten my blues, even though there's not really that many blues in the picture. I also go to vibrance and bring that up just a tad to bring out the colors. And one more thing that I do is I turn the reds more to a pink tone, and I'll bring up that saturation, turn down the luminance a tiny bit. And I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to turn down the saturation of the orange because that's my skin tone just a little bit. There you have it. That's how I would edit this picture for my thumbnail. So the next thing I will do is hit that little box with the arrow and export to camera roll. So now that I have the picture in my camera roll, something new that I started doing a little bit ago, I bought the app called Procreate Pocket, which is for the iPhone. The much better version comes on iPads, which is so much easier to edit your thumbnails, but I thought it was worth it. It was only $5, and the amount of things you can do with this app, literally even on your iPhone, is really crazy. But I only know the basics and I only use basic skills for my thumbnails. So I will go into Procreate Pocket and import the photo that I just edited. Now before we dive in, I'll just let you know what I use Procreate Pocket for. This is the app that I use to do the little outlines around certain images or certain items in my thumbnails, and I also use it sometimes to do like the drawn on text, so where I actually write out the words, and I think it's so cool. It definitely takes a lot of time and tedious work, but I really think it's worth it because ever since I started doing it, you guys went crazy over my thumbnails. So once I'm in the app, I will go to this little brushes thing, and there are a lot of videos on YouTube on how to use Procreate Pocket, which if you get it, I highly recommend watching those because there's so much to learn about this app, but I'm just going to show you guys the simple things I do. So there are a bunch of different types of styles of brushes on the side, and I guess I can choose calligraphy. In the thumbnail that I actually used for this video, I went to charcoals on the left, and then I hit charcoal block for the brush. And up at the top right, you can change the color. I usually do white. And then on the side, these two little circle things, this top one changes how thick your stroke is going to be, and then the bottom one changes the opacity. So I kind of test out the size of the brush and see how big I want it to be. I think that would be fine for this. The next thing I would do is zoom in, and then you'll just trace your whole shape all the way around. How long it takes depends on how tedious you want to be. For the sake of this video, I'm not going to be super tedious on it. I'm going to go pretty quick because I feel like you guys get the idea. You know how this works. I will just trace all the way around. I just finished tracing myself out. That sounds a little bit weird, but it's whatever. Keep in mind, I literally did this in 30 seconds. Normally it takes me 15 minutes, so that's why it looks a little bit sloppy. For this thumbnail, I did something different. It was my first thumbnail that I decided to do some drawn on text. So the first thing that I did was I made another layer, which is super important to remember to do when you're using this app. Normally I would have done that for the tracing part, but I forgot to. So you'll hit these two little squares, and then you just hit new layer and continue. I believe for the thumbnail that I originally made, I clicked my brushes and chose spray paints, and I think I chose the fine nozzle. Yeah, I believe this is the one I chose. I wanted to do a little background for the text that I was about to draw. Whenever you are drawing on top of something, don't forget to add another layer. I worked on this thumbnail for hours because I could not figure out the layer thing and it was just messing with me. So definitely watch videos on that to get a better understanding of what to do. After I chose the spray paint brush, I hit the top right to find my color and chose eyedropper, which means you can pick a color in your picture. And I chose this little frame right there. And then I did this little cloudy look thing right next to my head, and I was going to write on top of it. Okay, that's a really bad example of what I did, but remember, this takes so much time and fine-tuned work. So after I did that, I clicked another layer, and this layer I chose some basic brush. I don't really remember what it was. And then I chose the color white and wrote on top of the green. You'll probably see this a little, if you look at the thumbnail closely, you can see that I have a little black shadow behind it. So what I did was I made another layer, and then I put this layer below the one I just did. So you just click and hold, and then you can drag it underneath. And I chose the color black. And then I wrote a little shadow behind the original words that I had just written, just to give it some depth. I felt like it needed a little pop. So I just kind of drew on top of it, but slightly to the side so you can see the shadow. And it really helps make the words pop out so you can see them better. Okay, I finished that. Sorry this looks really bad. I don't think I used the same brush that I did in my actual thumbnail, but that is everything that I did in Procreate. So the next thing I did was hit that little modify thing and the wrench that pops up. I choose PSD and then just save image. So the last thing I do is I go into the app Fonto, which is what I use in basically every single thumbnail. It's probably one of the main apps that I will ever use for my thumbnails. For this thumbnail in particular, I had done part of the text in Procreate for my first time, and then I decided to add a little bit more text on top of it. Click on the photo and hit add text, and I think the text I did was in my life. And then there's so many different ways you can edit the text in Fonto. You can change the font, you can change the style, which is like the color, the stroke, or the outline. If you want a background, you can change the size, you can tilt it, curve it, which is what I do in here. And there's a few more things you can do. So the first thing I do is I choose the font, which I'm pretty sure this is the font that I chose. And I downloaded a bunch of these fonts off of the site dafont.com. They have so many good fonts, and a lot of YouTubers use the fonts on that site, which is where I got Keep on Truckin' and all the fonts underneath that. But for this thumbnail, I am going to use Lemon Milk Bold, which is also the font that I usually use in my YouTube videos. So I click on that. Now I'm going to change the size, make it a little bit bigger. And the next thing I did was curve this font. So I will go to curve and add some curve. One step I just realized that I forgot to do, which you should always do before you get into the text and everything, is crop the thumbnail to the YouTube size, which I usually do in an app called Moldiv, which I will show you guys later. But that's why this text looks kind of weird at the top, but we're just gonna continue with it. So now I'm going to click it and hit style. Then I go to the text section. Basically, you just change your color to whatever you want. I think I chose some type of pink, something like that. Now I'm going to hit those 3 lines right there because I'm going to want to use this exact color for another part of this text. So I hit those 3 lines and then hit save, and it'll just save the exact color I just chose. Then I do stroke. I usually do white for that, and I go up to 20 just to make it really bold. Now I'm going to hit style up here and add a little drop shadow, and this is where that extra color that I saved comes in handy. So I will just click the 3 lines and use that same color that I just used for my text. And there you go. We have a cool little 3D looking effect on our text now. That was everything that I did for this text. Like I said, the spacing is so off right now. I'm just going to bring the size down. I'll show some of my thumbnails at the end. I'm just gonna put it like that. That looks really, really, really bad, but you get the idea. So now I will save the image. Now we're gonna do a step that I was supposed to do as soon as I had edited the picture, but I will go into this app above Lightroom called Moldiv. This is what I use to do my collage. So when I have multiple pictures in my thumbnails, this is the app that I use for that. I will hit this blue section, and since this is a singular picture, I just choose the single. And I bring this spacing, I don't know what this is, it just changes the frame because I don't like any of the white frames. And then I'll bring this top dot all the way to the 16:9 because that is the YouTube thumbnail size. Then I just tap and I would add my picture before I have edited it and put all the text on it. And there you have it. I'll just save to my camera roll. Another app that I will use for my thumbnails every now and then is PixArt, which is super cool for adding graphics, PNGs, extra pictures that you found online. So I've imported the one that I would want to use, and the main thing that I do is I go to stickers and then I will search aesthetic stars, and there's one specifically that I use the most. So this is a star that I normally use. I had to scroll down quite a lot to find it. I almost thought it was like gone, but it's this like cool holographic looking thing. And I like to hit this eraser up here and erase the other 2 stars because I find it much easier to work with. Then all you have to do is hit that like double square thing on top of each other, and that will duplicate the stars so you can have multiples of them. And I will just resize them, make them a little smaller, turn them, and place the stars in lots of areas. Stars literally always make thumbnails better. I put way too much thought into these stars when I do them for some reason. I don't know, but we're just gonna add 4 for this video. But I don't use stars on every thumbnail because I feel like that would just be too much, but I definitely do use them. Apply, next, and save. So now we have our wonderful thumbnail. As you can see, there are a lot of steps that I go through for my thumbnails. This is like the maximum amount of things I do. The last thing that I will do for my thumbnails is I will go to my thumbnail album that I have made in my camera roll, and something super neat that I learned about albums in your camera roll, at least on Apple, is you can press the pictures and move them around. So when I made a thumbnail, if that video is going up before another thumbnail I've already made, I can just move it in front of that one, which I think is really cool. This is the original thumbnail that I was trying to recreate today. It did not turn out anywhere near as good as this one, but you can just see how I did the words, how I traced the outline. This is like the way better version of what I was attempting to do in this video. Usually after I've edited the pictures and put the collage together, I will put that picture into this album and make sure the colors match, and if they don't, I'll go back into Lightroom and edit it and make sure it is bright enough and works with these pictures, and then I will continue the process. I just forgot to show you guys that. I'm sorry, but that is something that I do. So I'm just going to show you all some of my thumbnails and talk through them a little bit. For this one, as you can see, it has a bunch of stuff going on, but I love this thumbnail so much. So I edited all the pictures in Lightroom, and then I created a collage in Moldiv. Then I went into Procreate and traced all of the little food items that I have in here. Then I went to Fonto, and that's where I added this text up here and the 3 little lines, and I saved it to my camera roll, put it in my thumbnail album, and that was how I did this thumbnail. Then for this one, I simply edited the 2 pictures. I put them in a little collage in Moldiv. Then I went into my thumbnails album, inserted it in just to make sure the colors match with all my other thumbnails, and then I continued by going into Procreate and doing the little outline around myself. Then I went into Fonto and added my title at the top. And the last thing I did was go into Pixar and added all the little stars just to spice it up a little bit. Here's an example of a more simple thumbnail that I did. All of these pictures actually came from the video, so while I was editing it, I screenshot different sections that I liked and sent it to my phone. Then I edited all of these pictures. I put them together in Moldiv, put the picture into my photo album for my thumbnails, and I made sure the colors worked well. I actually had to go back and edit them more to brighten them up. Then the last thing I did was I just went into Fonto and added this super simple text. So this one was a really easy thumbnail to do. I don't always do all the steps I mentioned. That was just like the most extreme thumbnail I would do. Like you can see, this one was super simple. I just edited pictures, made a little collage, and went into Fonto, added the text. Sometimes less is more. It's just whatever style works best with the video and the pictures that you're trying to do. This one has a lot going on. It's super fun, lots of outlining and things like that. This one we have stars, lots of pictures, curved text. There's just so much you can do with thumbnails. So that is my whole long process of editing my YouTube thumbnails. I honestly think this is a really important part in editing your YouTube videos and stuff, because that's what gets people to click on your videos. You want a very eye-catching thumbnail, and I personally am very pleased and proud of how my thumbnails look and work together. So hopefully you guys got some really good tips from this, and lots of inspiration and apps and different things that you can do to make your thumbnails really unique and special and just make your channel look super professional. I hope this video suited your need for a video on how I edit my thumbnails. There's so many different ways you can go with this. You can be super creative, totally make your own style, use different filters, different fonts. But anyways, if this is your first video of mine watching and you like my thumbnails, then you could subscribe. It is an option. Don't forget to turn on your YouTube notifications so that you get reminded when I upload new videos. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!